It's a foggy day in the Alberni Valley down below me. I started at mile 22.2 or so, Loon Lake Road, and I want to go down to mile 28. It'll be the longest railway hike I've ever done. If I am able to do this, you'll find out if I make it to mile 28 or not as a turnaround. But here I am at mile 25, my quarter point of my round trip, and Trestle is what I'm facing, but you can't see it. There's the trestle down there. Hi. Beautiful day. This is my playground, or what I think it is. I really enjoy doing railway hiking up here in the Alberni summit area. This is the west slope of the Beauforts. Have a great day. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Thanks. Here's the big picture map. Vancouver Island on the west coast of British Columbia, and the red circle is the area of my hike just north of the city of Port Alberni. Here's the map showing the Port Alberni Subdivision starting in Parksville on the middle right of the map, ending in Port Alberni, and the rough route of my hike is in the red. Now a closer look at the area between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. The yellow dots are the mileage markers for the E&N's Port Alberni Subdivision. That red circle is my starting point, mile 22.2 roughly, a level crossing on the Loon Lake Forest Service Road. That X is the Trestle, mile 25. And that is the 1/4 and 3/4 mark of my return hike. So I took a rest there on the way out and used that as my introduction trailer that you've just seen. That shows you the area that was toughest to walk in between, say, mile 25.5 and 26.8 or so. It was tough because there was trees on either side of the tracks just encroaching in from both sides, making for a very narrow passage for walking, and seems like every spider in the universe was spinning webs from one side to the other, and they were hitting my face. It was not the most pleasant walk. I think the reason I only do this hike every year and a half or so is because by then I forget what that part was like, and it's just going to get worse. But hey, I'm a sucker for punishment. That circle there is mile 28, which is my turnaround point. So that's the end of almost 6 miles of walking, and then I turn around and go back. And that is the entire route of my walk following the railway. It was a lot of fun, and a few days later I'm still sore. It's just before 8 a.m. here at Loon Lake Forest Service Road, the level crossing, mile 22.2 or so of the E&N Railway's Port Alberni Subdivision. And I'm walking railway west, so towards Port Alberni by the railway. This first section of the hike is 3 miles that I've done. Well, this is the 5th time that I've done this, most recently in late June, from mile 22 roughly to mile 25. The second section of my hike will be a further 3 miles, I hope, from mile 25 to 28. That'll be my turnaround, so that would make 6 miles each way. That's about 19 kilometers return. That's an ambitious hike for me. The various purposes of today's hike are to be outside and do something, just to live, to enjoy getting some exercise combined with walking in railway history. I also like to take note of the various changes to the condition of the railway and the grade and the structures along the way, just so I can be aware of how nature and time impacts the grade. And that includes things like vegetation growth, things like windfalls of trees, rockfall, landslide, that kind of stuff. All those things are normal occurrences on a railway, especially in a mountainous area like this. And so even if the railway were actively operated, there'd be constant maintenance for those kinds of things. But during inactivity, such as this, almost 20 years with no trains, and limited maintenance in the period after, those things can become big compounding issues. Where I'm walking right now, last February of 2021 or so, there was some brushing work done here, so it cut the vegetation down and back on the sides and in the middle of the grade. And I'll be seeing situations where one season of growth has brought it back some ways. I've got Highway 4 beside me on my left. It's the other side of a swampy area. I can hear traffic as it goes by. This is about between 1.1 and 1.5% grade on the railway for the part I'll be hiking today. Downhill on my way out, uphill on my way back. Regarding changes to the railway line, I am really curious to see how 2021 has impacted this area. Summer 2021 has been really tough. Extreme heat, drought, and then in mid-September some really heavy rain that has the combination of weakening trees, and then when the rain comes and the wind comes, increasing the chance of windfall, and I guess also rockfall with the heavy rains on the brittle ground. I'm also curious to see the impact of the drought on the trees in terms of dead spots on the boughs of the evergreens. I've seen a little bit of that already. Here's an area with the vegetation growth over the last year showing itself. Ferns high up, and there's a lot of grass. Last time I was here in late June, the grass was much thicker and taller, being the height of the growing season. The drought has cut that back naturally. Looking back where I came from, I'm on a nice tangent section. Some moist grass under my feet. Squish, squish, squish. This hike that I'm doing on the grade, there's a number of places where there used to be trestles, but no longer. In fact, there's just one trestle still existing that I'm crossing over at mile 25. There were a number of them built on the original line in 1911, and within 15 years or so, or 10 to 15 years, they were filled in with earth and fill, and so no more trestle, just a grade high up on a fill. And then there are three interesting situations where there were trestles on the original grade, and then around 1920s or so, second trestles were built just pretty close by. And then in the 1970s, the trestles were dismantled and the grade was route was changed, so the railway hugged the side of the slope closer in a tight curve, bypassing the trestle gully, probably with a bit of fill help. And so I like those three spots. You can still see part of the original route, and in a couple spots the original rock cut area. Those are the kind of historical things I really like when I'm doing my railway walks. And here comes my first milepost of the day, milepost 23. I'll just keep on motoring. Here's a grease box. It's about an hour after sunrise now, but the sun has not risen high enough above mountains to have it shining down on the track. My first photo break of the day is here. This tunnel of leaves. I'm early in terms of autumn leaves, but hey, I've got so many places I'd like to be this autumn. This one has to be the first. That's okay. There's still a little bit of color. I like that. Looking back in this nice tree tunnel, the sun is coming up. So the sun is visible now through those trees. Hard to see in this video. It's up above the top parts of the trees. I'll show you a photograph. Having done this part of the hike 5 times now, I've found areas that are my favorites. This is one of them. This is coming up to the site of the mile 23.9 trestle, no longer. It was removed in 1971. If I went straight ahead, I'd be on the original grade, now overgrown. But the post 1971 curves off to the right. And this nice rock cut here I like. So this is the first of 3 such diversions that I hope to see today. Through that clearing there is the ravine that used to be crossed by a wooden trestle. And I'm on the track that curves around. Soon I will hear the lovely sound of the creek. And there's the first can of Lucky that I've seen today. Keep our Lucky count, see if we go over 5 or 6 cans spotted. One of my dreams now is to actually drink a can of Lucky on the E&N's Port Alberni Subdivision Railway. The sun is brightening things up behind me as I'm coming up to mile 24. Sign is just here around the corner. Alright, making progress. I'm doing 12 miles today. That's 2 down and 10 to go. Bright blinding light. So this is the second of 3 sites of former trestles that were bypassed by a change of route. Again, if I went straight, that would be the route of the old pre-1970s trestle, and the new current route curves around to the right. The rocky area here on my left, sort of mossy area that steps up gently right here, is on my list of things to explore a bit more on the type of a hike that's shorter and more time to explore things that I see. So not really today's hike. Today is more distance to cover as much ground as I can just to see the condition of the line. This area here on my left is likely, the other side of that rock area is likely the old grade approach to the mile 24.4 trestle. I'm always thinking of more things to do. I love this area. Looking back where I came from, current track, obviously. Through there is the original grade approaching the mile 24.4 trestle from the west. The old Jordan rail from the trestle is in that area. I am stoked to be at Stokes. This is the site of Stokes siding. Siding no longer. So I'm sort of where the siding would have been on this side of the grade. I'll walk the what's now become sort of a logging ATV road area. Every time I come through here, I say the same thing on my videos. This area coming up here by Lacy Lake Road is a popular recreation area for hiking, ATVs, motorbikes, side-by-sides, etc. There's a trail further on ahead that goes up to the popular Alberni Lookout. And this is the last portion of the track that's had vegetation cut back by a contractor back in February or January 2021. It ends at the crossing of Lacy Lake Road ahead. Then I enter the realm of broom and all sorts of other things that make it a bit more difficult to walk. Level crossing for Lacy Lake Road, which goes down there. It meets Highway 4 near the Coombs Country Candy Store, just at the east entrance to Port Alberni. I could have gone up that route. It's only taken me a little bit more time to go the way I came, and I avoided the big hill, which for an old guy like me, it's easier to walk on a flat railway. Here's where the Alberni Lookout Trail crosses the grade. Goes up there. Coming up in a few moments is an area where there was a landslide on the left side of the track, so the down slope. And last time I was here, it was really close to the rail, so close to undermining the grade. And I'm really curious what the summer of drought and then September rains have done to it. And here is that area, and I'm glad it hasn't gotten worse. There you go. The bank gave way, the culvert was knocked out. Hasn't gotten worse, but I can't see it getting any better until there is a reactivation of this line, which brings up the topic of how long it might be. And railways are really long-term assets. Sometime in the future, this corridor will be needed again for rail. Alberni is a seaport, and there's industry there, sawmill, pulp mills. It just makes sense that rail is a great way to take items back and forth to Nanaimo, where they can then be loaded over to the mainland. But everyone's so used to thinking in terms of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It might be longer than that. It's been 20 years already. It might be another 20 or 30 years. But the corridor, the land, is invaluable. That is just my semi-educated opinion. Here is the mile 25 trestle, and rails are glistening in the light. I like that. The far end, I'm gonna set up on some rocks and have a nice break there for my quarter point on my hike. This trestle is in poor shape. It's a timber frame trestle, and it's poor down below on the footings, which are wooden mud sills that are, some of them are rotten pretty good. That's the foundation. And the top deck has got some poor ties that are really soft and disintegrating. Not all of them, but some of them are really poor. So the stringer beams on this trestle, well, there's 3 sets. The set in the middle, those are the beams that run parallel to the rails. They support the ties. I like to walk above them. So if the tie gives way, I've got the heavy beam just below. Such a beautiful area right there. Spot where the tie is broken off, but there's a stringer. You can see I'm standing on it. It's a really heavy beam, so it's solid. Solid for now. There are 5 fire barrel platforms, and all of them are still up, haven't fallen in yet. Over the 3 years or so that I've been doing trestle walking, I've noticed a lot of the fire barrel platforms getting worse and worse and eventually falling off. So it's a real indicator, easy visual indicator of the continual deterioration of the railway structures. There's a little creek under this end, and let's see if I can hear anything. So it likely goes dry for part of the year. Yeah, it's dry. So I'm going to go up on the rocks on the left hand side here and take my quarter break. Can't see much of it with this lighting. There, that's better. That's the direction I'll be hiking next for the next 3 miles. And as is often the case in the Alberni Valley, there's fog down below. So I'm just curious if I'll encounter fog up here as I go further railway west. Find out. There's the trestle down through those tree leaves. Pretty leaves, but they get in the way of my view. But yeah, there's Fog Bernie down there. Fog down below and some nice sunshine up here where I am. I'm enjoying my day so far. I've done 3 miles on the railway. 3 more to go until I get to my turnaround, and then all the way back. I hope you're having a great day, whatever you are doing, and I know that I'm going to have an interesting day here. This kind of place is my happy place. I love walking in railway history and doing some autumn leaves photography and just enjoying life and getting some good exercise. All right, so we got some fog happening here. Ready to start leg 2 of my out and back hike. So this is leg 2 on the way out. 3 miles from this trestle here at mile 25 to mile 28 is my hoped for turnaround. Looking back at the trestle, I was just up there for my break. And let's go railway west. In this shade at the moment, but the sun will hit me. I'm really curious to see if I'll get some fog up to this level. It's possible. Okay, this is now the second time that I've come this way. So a lot of the rest of the Port Alberni subdivision of the E&N I've been on multiple times, like 3 or 4 at least. But this is just the second time. Last time I was here was 18 months ago, April 2020. That was my first time here. So I'm curious again to see what this is like in a different season, early autumn. This next area has a lot of broom, just like this, on either side, as well as down the middle. So I'd be careful, make sure I don't pick up any ticks. I am expecting an interesting variety of just topography. The look of the land from looking like I'm in a dark, damp forest to more arid, like light-colored moss, and yeah, even some areas where there's some nice rock faces, a couple rock cuts I go through. It is a healthy pile of bear scat with some berries. Bears and cougars are the other traffic around here, besides me and other hikers occasionally or regularly. I'm not sure if this poop is bear or cougar. It's a bit too solid and chunky, like maybe for bear scat. Between mile 25 and 26, a lot of the grade is like this, with the trees encroaching from either side. And you can see dead leaves right here as I shoo off a spider from my hand. Dead boughs, dead whatever ends of the branches. Yeah. Dead branches all around from the drought. This is very beautiful around here. Coming up soon to mile 26. Haven't seen the post yet, but I know what's around here. This is a bit of beauty right there. Oh my, look at the tree. Oh, that is gorgeous maple tree. Be really nice in a few weeks, but I'm here now. That's okay. And here is the mile 26 sign. Fun dodging cobwebs here in the early morning. There it is, nicely lit up with the sun. Harder and harder to see it. The next mile post, 27, there is no sign. It's been missing for a while, but I have a rough idea where the mileage is. But between now and then, I have some more filled in trestle areas where the land just drops off on either side of the grade here. And I've got the hydro line area to go through. Yeah. This is how I walk through this area with my tripod, just to clear the spider webs, so I don't get spider webs in my face, in my mouth, my eyes. Here's another shaded, overgrown part. Here's an example where there's drop-offs on either side, and I can hear a creek, so there's a culvert. There's another drop-off right down there. So we are tall here. So there's a steep drop-off there. And a steep drop-off on the other side. I'm in a filled-in grade. This area is very pretty. Lots of green, the sunlight is shining nicely. Yeah, you can get a really good idea here. There it goes down. On both sides are just like this. Okay, here we are at the hydro lines. Coming up to the hydro line service road, which has got a lot of rocks covering it. There we go down to the foggy Alberni Valley. carefully cross this crushed rock area. I don't know if this is from a washout coming down here or just vehicles like ATVs and side-by-sides pushing it down naturally, or someone's just created a level crossing with rock. Here's the level crossing of a Forest Service road. I'll put the mileage up as a subtitle. There's one crossbuck. The other one is missing, but the pole is there. It says 33.3, which is not right. They took this crossbuck from Smith Road, which is 33.3. Now let's continue railway west. There's the vehicle down there. Okay, we are coming to mile 27 really soon, and there's no post. So that's 5/6 of the my outbound hike. One more mile to go to my turnaround, which I will make, and then I get to do it all again in the other direction, which is just fine. Hopefully I knock down all the cobwebs on the way out, and I won't be swallowing spider webs on the way back. Here's what this section looks around 27.1 mileage. No weeds. Lots of rocks in the ballast, and yeah, maybe those two things have something to do with each other. It's a lot easier to walk. We are coming up to one of my favorite features on this hike, probably my main motivation for getting out of bed and doing this hike today, and that's the site of the former trestle at mile 27.3, replaced by a rock cut line diversion. Hey, there's a grease thingy for the flange, for the wheels, whatever. Anyway, I like the rock cut. Really spectacular tall rock walls. So, looking forward to seeing that. And just around the corner here is the majestic new rock cut. I'm switching to portrait mode with wide angle because this is just so nice here. Blue sky. To my left, behind the trees, is all the fog of the Alberni Valley. Oh, this is so nice. When we get around this corner, it'll be even nicer. And who knows, I always slag sunlight for photographs saying it ruins it, but you know, apart from having the shadow here of me, it does brighten things up nicely. So that's the new grade, and in through here is the old grade. It would have joined further behind me. Okay, let's go and take a walk in and see what this is like. So there's the grade in between the rocks here. Straight down through here to the trestle, and here it would have gone straight and met up with the rest of the railway, the current railway. There's Fogberni. Again, this is the old rock cut.
And I think it was just more of the rocky slope on the other side that they then blasted out another rock cut for the current grade. Here, I'll take you down here and show you what I think was a wood abutment for the trestle. And yeah, the trestle would have gone this way. While we're here, there's Port Alberni Valley. Here you go. Placed perfectly, yeah, through there. Since 1971, this has been vacant and the trees have grown up. Okay, saying goodbye. There's the abutment. Fog's rolling in. That should be nice for the next mile or so of my hike. Some cool mist. Such an obvious grade in here. I love it. Walking through history. That's what I love to do. And it would have continued, and I'll head back to the grade. Okay, back on the new grade, enjoying the sun behind me. So yeah, there's my camera on the tripod. It's my big camera I take for my good photos. Currently I'm using my camera phone, which has a nice wide angle lens. And then I've got a smaller camera. Fits in my pocket, and I use that for most of my video when I don't want a wide angle lens. So yeah, 3 cameras. It's a lot of fun. Here's the curved track, goes around the ravine that the trestle used to cross. This is the third of 3 of these that I've seen today. So more rock cuts here, but there's wider space with no vegetation overgrowth, so it's easier to see. Nice cool shady area. Here's where a trail comes up to meet the railway from the Horn Lake Road. That's the Cherry Creek Alberni Valley Horn Lake Road. And it climbs up here. I've done that once, and then somewhere up there it continues, and I think becomes part of the Horn Lake Trail. Yeah, I really like the look of this area. Nice and pretty to walk on. Wide spaces, evidence of people who have done broom busting in the past. Wonderful people. Coming up to an area that has a lot of rockfall consistently over the years. Piled on the left hand side is the evidence of old rock falls. There's still some rocks in the middle. Coming up from the slope here. This is about mile 27.8 or so. And this particular area, it's the 3rd time I've been here. So really all that's happened here, that's changed in the last 18 months, is actually some of these small rocks have been pushed out of the way. Nothing else really bad has happened here. So that's good. Here's a spot where there's a retaining wall. Continuing on. Here's some stuff in the way. Sometime over the last 18 months. This guy down. Wow. That's pretty big. That's it, just a big stump came down. And I don't think the rail is broken. My turnaround point, mile 28. It's a lovely waterfall. There's the sign. Mile 28 on a nice straight stretch. I'm just going to check out this windfall. So I'm hoping to come in from the other end to meet up here sometime in the month of October and come in from mile 33.3 at Smith Road, come here all the way to mile 28. I did that same hike a year ago in October. Oh yeah, there's a big tree right there. So yeah, this is the kind of change I'm looking for in the railway. And fortunately, there's just been a couple instances of new windfalls. Okay, at mile 28, my turnaround. Let's head on back towards mile 22.2. I'm going to take a break at the Rockfall area, about, I don't know, 0.3 of a mile from here. Kind of looks like a lion head from a distance. Had an angle with some imagination. Again, just the stump. Oh, it sure smells like wood. Nice cedar scent to it. And there's nothing down below. So, it broke off. Or it's just an old stump that did a really, really big tumble from way up there. Interesting. That's really interesting. And then this guy here just got knocked by it, I guess. This is my turnaround spot at this Rockfall area. Good spot to take a break, wash my face, and change my socks too. That'll feel really good for the 6 miles back, about 9 kilometers or so. Okay, break time over. Just a little ways past the midpoint of my hike. Heading back eastward about mile 27.3. This continual rock slide area. It's just, the history is there beside on the right. Here's the current. This has been here for a year and a half at least. And out of this. That's the only area on this stretch where rocks are blocking the track. That's good. Okay, back just under 6 miles to go, about 9 kilometers, and I get to see things from the other angle in different light. It's about 12:30 p.m. We'll see what the lighting is like. And here's that trail down to the Horn Lake Road on the Alberni side of things. I've done that trail once. It was really steep. I did it in the dark, not knowing where I was going, and somehow figured it out. But now I prefer just to walk on the railway. It's nice and warm now when the sunshine hits me. It's about 22 degrees or so in the Alberni Valley today. So I'm in the curve of the mile 27.3 diversion. Used to be a trestle that cut across the ravine. And in 1971, this diversion track was built. On my previous trip here, I climbed up those rocks there from the other side. Looking down here on this track, I'll show you a photo of that. I really like this spot, the mile 27.3 diversion rock cut, and in through there, the original grade. And the clouds are magnificent. Wow. Let's take one more peek in at the original grade. This is one of these hard to get to spots for me, so I want to take lots of views of this. Yeah, train came down there, continued on there, and then joined up with what is still the current grade. That's fun. Okay, finished with this favorite area. Let's head back eastward towards mile 27. Things are wide and flat on both sides of the grade here around mile 27.2 or so. Walk in for curiosity's sake. Who knows if this was a clearing of something or just, I don't know, area to store things on the railway maybe. Who knows? Here's a greaser right there. Grease is the word. Here's the Forest Service Road around mile 26.9 or so, with a crossbuck from Smith Road, mile 33.3. Here we are at the hydro line. This is pretty here. I think there's a concrete culvert, quite a large one, carrying the creek underneath the railway. I've seen photos from some hikers tall enough to walk through. This might be it, or not. I looked at the what might be a pathway, and too steep for me today, where I'm keeping my energy for just accumulating some kilometers. But it would be down there where it comes out. There's always another time, and if there isn't, well, that's okay too. Just enjoy the moments you're in, understanding that you can't see it all. I like that contentment. Same thing with walking through a place like this with all these maple leaves overhead, and just thinking that in 2 weeks even the color is spectacular. Three weeks from now, maybe 4 weeks from now, just even better than that. But here I am now, because you know I can only do so many hikes in October, so I'm doing this one now instead of worrying about what I can't get. I'm just enjoying the moment. A really good workout today, seeing a long stretch of railway, and seeing the beauty of places like this. The diversity of a shaded, treed area and various areas out in the sunshine. Very nice. This shaded area is a filled in ravine area, or just a filled in gap. I don't know if there was a trestle there or just if it was always filled in, but steep drop-offs on either side. You just can't see them because of the trees. This area between mile 26 and 27 is the way of spider webs, just because it's so narrow to walk through here with the trees encroaching from either side. Oh, and here's some broom. Nice. So just continual spider webs in the face. Just saw some people on mountain bikes go down this way. So it is a trail that gets used. There's the other side of it there. Oh, that's a pretty area. Wow. Continue on. Coming up to mile 26. And here's that post. Well, hard to see any further. Okay, that's 8 miles down, 4 to go, give or take a bit. Here's where the branches have dead spots on them from the drought, I'm presuming. This is what it looks like around mile 25.5 or so. Got a steep drop off on my right side through those trees, and ties somewhat visible here, but lots of dirt and moss covering the ties. I'm being careful walking through this part about mile 25.1. All the broom on the side and in the middle of the track. I am nice and tired, but I've got another 3 miles to go. That's okay. I just have to keep moving, but I will take a break on the other side of the trestle. Mile 25 trestle. I'm a lot more tired than I was last time I was in this spot 4 hours ago or so. Oh, some of these are really soft and chewed up. All right, till next time, mile 25 Trestle, one of my favorites. And I'm coming up to the washout area, about mile, I don't know, 24.85. Here, hard to see with the sunlight. Here's what used to be the east end of Stokes siding. And here comes mile 24 sign. I like this stretch of track coming up for about the next mile. So this is a nice treat for me when I'm tired. Okay, here's milepost 23, the last milepost I'm going to see today. I'm going to about mile 22.2. That's my end. At this point I am really tired, happy at what I've accomplished so far, but tired and sore. This is a nice treat for the last few minutes of my walk. Soft grass over the ties, lovely rock cut. Alright, this is the last curve of my hike. I'll come around the corner and I'll be able to see Mount Arrowsmith in the background above the railway, and I'm almost done.